UFOs may have influenced mass culture more than any other topic in the latter half of the 20th century. There is probably no more persistent cliché than a flying saucer abducting a cow, or the image of a gray alien with almond-shaped eyes. The commonness and unprovability of this phenomenon make you wonder if there's a mystery to it. Maybe it's just an element of psychological defense, a way to reduce anxiety, a kind of sci-fi scare story that has replaced devils, witches, house spirits, and other evil creatures for modern people. Or is all of this a cover operation by the powerful of this world, who use the popular image of aliens to hide something very important and simply manipulate ordinary people? Or maybe aliens don't come from other galaxies and planetary systems at all, but from other dimensions? And maybe they've existed for centuries, watching over or even influencing humanity on this planet, which we carelessly assume is ours. In this film, you will see that Kremlin in UFOs, flying saucers, big-eyed humanoids, nighttime abductions, and mysterious signals from space. All of this is the subject of heated debates and wild beliefs about UFOs. And of course, wherever UFOs appear, men in black automatically show up. But maybe there is a third truth, which is equally distant from arrogant debunking, pseudoscientific misconceptions, and cult-like beliefs in the existence of flying saucers with gray aliens. Let's figure it out. In July this year, the Oversight Subcommittee of the United States Congress held hearings in Washington. Congressmen gathered to hear the statement of a former intelligence officer who claims that the American authorities have been studying crashed alien craft for many years. The reason for the meeting was statements made by 36-year-old David Grush, a former employee of the United States National Reconnaissance Office. It is generally believed that this organization is responsible for managing spy satellites and analyzing the images they collect. Grush claims that since 2019, he has participated in the work of a secret government commission studying unidentified aerial phenomena, and then, for several months, was one of its leaders. In April 2023, Grush resigned. According to him, during his time on the commission, he obtained evidence that the authorities are aware of the existence of aliens and are hiding it. He wanted this information to become public knowledge. In June, Grush gave a series of briefings and interviews in which he spoke about this in more detail and criticized the American authorities. His statements attracted the attention of two Republican Congress members, Tim Burchett from Tennessee and Anna Paulina from Florida. Burchett and Luna initiated an official investigation into UFOs, which resulted in Grush being invited to Congress. In addition to him, retired military pilots who had seen unidentified objects with their own eyes also testified at the hearings. In June interviews with the Debrief website, News Nation television channel, and the French newspaper Le Parisien, Grush said that American authorities learned about the existence of aliens as early as the beginning of the 20th century. According to him, the first alien craft crashed in Italy in 1933. Benito Mussolini kept this a secret, but during World War II, the Vatican informed the American authorities about the discovery through its own channels. The wreckage was secretly moved to the United States in 1944, or 1945, Semken, Editor A. According to Grush, an invisible struggle has been going on for 80 years between the governments of many countries, both hostile and friendly. Each country is trying to be the first to reach the place where the aliens have been or where their craft have crashed, to acquire alien technology and gain a military advantage. Sam Grush has never seen alien craft himself. He says he has repeatedly spoken with top intelligence officers and military personnel directly involved in their construction. According to him, some of the objects were obtained in working condition and were comparable in size to a football field. They are now stored with a certain private contractor. Before his testimony in Congress, Grush took an oath. In case of perjury, he could face liability, so he was much more cautious in his statements. He refused to talk about craft the size of a football field, did not name specific organizations and companies working with non-human technologies, and did not provide any evidence. According to him, all of them are too classified. Nevertheless, He repeated that he knows of cases where American authorities found crashed alien craft. Moreover, sometimes remains with non-human biology were found at the crash site. According to Grush, even while working in the commission, he faced active resistance when he tried to obtain more information about the findings. He claims that he heard about people who were harmed by the authorities to prevent the spread of information about aliens. When he was asked if he knew about people who had been killed for this, Grush refused to answer. Grush stated that after his appearances in the press, people started to take revenge on him. As a result, he claims that both his professional career and personal life have suffered. Grush's statements were supported by testimonies from former military pilots Ryan Graves and David Fravor. Both of them had previously spoken about their encounters with unidentified objects and were unable to add anything new. Fravor's name first appeared in the press in 2017 when the Pentagon declassified documents on the unidentified flying object search and released 2 videos of unidentified objects. According to Fravor, the incident he was involved in happened in 2004. The interception of the unidentified tic-tac-shaped object involved the aircraft carrier Nimitz, missile cruiser Princeton, other ships, and the carrier-based early warning Grumman E-2 Hawkeye, McDonnell Douglas FA-18 Hornet jets. Fravor, who was piloting one of the fighter jets, observed a round white object about 14 meters long from several kilometers away, which had no visible wings or engines. When the unidentified flying object descended toward the ocean, the water foamed beneath it. It then rose to 200-300 meters and accelerated to 500 knots, over 900 km/h. Fravor tried to intercept the object, but it flew upward at supersonic speed. Former United States Navy Lieutenant Ryan Graves stated back in 2021 that he and other pilots from his FA-18 fighter squadron observed strange and highly maneuverable unidentified objects over the water in the area of the Atlantic Ocean southeast of Virginia Beach, Virginia. According to Graves, this happened almost every day for 2 years in a row, starting in 2015. Eventually, the pilots started to take UFOs for granted. In early 2023, amid the scandal that erupted after a Chinese probe with spy equipment was discovered in the United States, Graves came forward with new revelations. He stated that about 50 to 60 people who served with him in 2014-2015 could talk about daily sightings of objects of unknown origin. And it all began more than 75 years ago, when in 1947, American pilot Kenneth Arnold gave alien ships their most popular nickname, flying saucers. He also claimed to have seen an unidentified flying object like this in the sky. In other words, this drawing is quite far from the classic flying saucer. By its silhouette, it looks more like the United States stealth aircraft that were undergoing secret tests at that very time. But nevertheless, from about this day on, almost every 10th resident of the United States encountered aliens who could either visit them or even abduct them onto a flying saucer. The problem of the origin of UFOs concerns not only scientists. For many years, the CIA has been collecting information about such phenomena. From 2007 to 2012, the United States government spent $22 million on the Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program, a new unidentified flying object study. In January 2016, 5 documents were published that concerned observations of unknown objects in the area of uranium mines in Africa. In 2017, the CIA released 13 million pages of its internal documents that were no longer classified. The released documents contain entire collections of internal letters concerning the unidentified flying object phenomenon. Some of them are dated from the 1960s to the 1970s. One of them mentions the involvement of the International Aviation Committee, Interstate Aviation Committee. Since 1947, we have received about 1,500 official reports about such incidents, of which about 20% cannot be explained, the document says. Representatives of the peaceful public also made several statements. As Pope Francis once said, the doors of the Vatican are open to everyone, including aliens. According to Francis, it doesn't matter how many tentacles are on the hand extended to him, he is still ready to shake it. Such statements have led to more and more prominent public figures appearing in the media, demanding that the government abolish the default quota. John Podesta, who is directly involved in the unidentified flying object topic, worked as Deputy Chief of Staff and Chief of Staff at the White House from 1997 to 2001. He has repeatedly made efforts aimed at declassifying unidentified flying object documents. In 2002, Podesta publicly demanded that the Pentagon admit to contacts with aliens and talk about them. "This needs to be done," he explained. "The American people are capable of handling the truth. I'm extremely frustrated to realize that the White House refuses to disclose documents about UFOs and aliens to the American people. The fact that the American authorities classify most of the information has sparked protests, including from traditional United States allies, such as France, the only country in the world where UFOs are studied at the state level." In 1999, Moscovoy, the Institute of Higher Studies for National Defense, a French military center, released a 90-page report compiling views from 30 top government scientists and military officials. Under the name Cometa, it was presented to Jacques Chirac and Prime Minister Lionel Jospin. It states, "Absolutely unknown flying objects with exceptional characteristics, controlled by natural or artificial intelligence, presumably, but not proven, of extraterrestrial origin." The report also directly asks the question, why and how is a secret of such magnitude still being kept to this day, despite everything? And the answer is given right away. The United States is striving at all costs to maintain the technological superiority gained from studying UFOs and possibly from privileged contact with aliens. Canadian scientist Wilbert Smith, who worked for the United States government, wrote in a secret memorandum about UFOs in 1950. "This is the most highly classified subject in the United States government. In terms of secrecy, it surpasses the hydrogen bomb." At the same time, the authorities not only hide genuine information about the unidentified flying object phenomenon from the public, but also organize a stream of disinformation aimed at manipulating public consciousness. This task was assigned to a scientific committee created under the CIA, led by Howard Robertson, a mathematician who, together with a group of serious scientists, worked on the issue of parallel universes. The so-called Robertson Committee was established based on recommendations to the Intelligence Advisory Committee in December 1952 and developed Operation Cover-Up. The program had a double purpose, as it not only worked to conceal the real facts about UFOs from the public, but also served as a cover for parallel government projects. One of them was Project Blue Book, which was originally created by specialists in public opinion manipulation. The CIA's MK Ultra project targeted programming the human psyche and fueled Hollywood media influence. The Robertson Committee is by no means an exclusive phenomenon. Under Eisenhower and Kennedy, it was the 54-12 Committee. Under Johnson, it was the 303 Committee. Under Nixon, Ford, and Carter, it was the 40 Committee. Under Reagan, it was PI 40. In 1980, William Cooper stated that members of such committees included well-known figures of the time, such as Nelson Rockefeller, CIA Director Allen Dulles, Secretary of State John Foster Dulles, J. Edgar Hoover, and others who had access to special information. However, there is an opinion that the purpose of such a charade is not only the authorities' desire to manipulate public consciousness. In the mid-1950s, documents once classified by Churchill may have been made public. The Prime Minister believed that it was not worth prematurely alarming his compatriots with shocking information that could change their perception of the world and humanity so much that the consequences could become unpredictable. Flying saucers aren't what most people think. They're part of something larger and more complex. If contact occurs, they might forcefully impose their development path. Even the Soviet mathematician Modest Agrest believed that a supercivilization, if it exists, is quite capable of controlling the space-time continuum, enclosing space in something like a reservation. In his book Operation Trojan Horse, the American researcher John Keel presents his own version of the nature of UFOs and connects this phenomenon with the idea of parallel worlds. The point is that, parallel to our civilization, outside of temporal fields and three-dimensional space, there exists on Earth a highly developed civilization that the author calls an ultra-civilization. These are just the first strokes in the portrait of the unidentified flying object phenomenon. The topic is extremely interesting, but it's impossible to cover it in one episode. So we will continue. Subscribe to stay updated. See you next time.